It was a quiet and calm Saturday, like most days. Little did this family know their strength and determination to survive and make it through the night would be tested. This family is like any typical family. There is the 43-year-old mother, Helena, her 15-year-old son, Elliot, and her 8-year-old daughter, Kaylee. They are a close-knit family that tries to make the best out of any situation. They live in a rough part of town, and because of this, they have adapted to their environment and are a strong and determined family. Helena works long hours at a diner and doesn't get back until late in the night. Because of this, Elliot and Kaylee would be home alone until she gets back. Over the past few weeks, there have been strange break-ins by a serial intruder known as the Lurker, causing a tense and uncomfortable feeling over the neighborhood and leaving everyone on edge. The Lurker was seen as a mysterious figure that would come in the late hours of the night and attack, steal, and sometimes kill his victims. The acts of the Lurker were covered on the news, radio, and newspapers, and would be talked about in the diners, pubs, grocery stores, and anywhere there were a gathering of people. Earlier that fateful Saturday, Elliot was in the living room watching TV when the news about the Lurker came on. He was intrigued but concerned at the same time, as the look of anxiety was deeply etched on his face, while he gripped the chair tightly as the news was going on. He was in a slight trance while he was breathing heavily. Helena came in the room and told him to turn the TV off and clean his room. Elliot quickly snapped out of it, turned off the TV, and proceeded to his room, but he still could not shake the feeling he felt from hearing about the Lurker. As the day went along and the night began to fall, Elliot and his sister were getting ready to settle in for the night. Helena was getting ready for work. She was working overtime to get some extra money to help support her family. Before Helena left out, she reminded Elliot to keep safe, feed his sister, go to bed, and to keep all doors and windows locked. Helena left out about 8 p.m. and would not be back home until 1 a.m. As she left, Elliot checked the house and made sure everywhere was safe. About 10 p.m., they decided it was time to get some rest. As Elliot was sleeping with his sister right next to him, he heard a loud thud coming from downstairs. He quickly woke up and looked at the time, wondering if it was 1 a.m. and if it was his mom back home. To his shock, it was just 11:40 p.m. With a worrying and confusing feeling sinking down his gut, he listened closely again to hear if there was another sound. But there was a tense, deafening silence. Then there was an even louder thud, with now the sound of glass shattering. Elliot quickly realizes this was not his mother and that someone else was downstairs. He quietly woke up his sister, and she was still dazed and sleepy. He pulled his sister to hide in the closet, and they went in there and made themselves as quiet and small as they could as they listened attentively to everything that was going on. From the closet, they could hear gentle footsteps crunching the broken glass and wandering the house. Elliot peeked out from the closet but could not see anything as the house was in darkness, with a small nightlight in the room. They were quiet, barely making a sound, and breathing as soft and short as they could. The footsteps were slowly coming up the stairs as it creaked on the old stairs. The intruder is getting closer. Elliot has a phone and was trying to call the police before the intruder came upstairs, but could not call because he was unsure exactly where the person was as he peeked through a small opening in the closet. He built up the courage to call, as it might be the only chance he got. So he took the risk and dialed the police, and he quickly got through to the operator and whispered what was happening and that an intruder was in the house, as he listened carefully outside to what was going on. Elliot faintly gave the operator all the information he could as he tried to stay calm and undetected as the intruder was roaming the house. The operator told Elliot they would send an officer, and in the meantime to stay put until help arrived. As the call ended, the door handle for the room could be heard rattling as if someone was trying to open it. In this tense moment, the door could be heard opening slowly as it creaked in the silence. A silhouette figure could be seen just staring in the room by the doorway, scanning every corner of the room. Elliot covered his sister's mouth in an added attempt to stay quiet. As the intruder looked around, he began to exit the room and then made an abrupt stop at the door. He quickly turned his head in the direction of the closet and made a sharp burst to the closet, and then with a large force, he opened the closet door. They were stunned and could not move or make a sound, as they were in complete shock as the realization of being found. Elliot could not believe it. He was face to face with the Lurker. He recognized his face from the news earlier. Kaylee screamed and broke Elliot out of his trance. He quickly tussled with the intruder and pushed him from the closet to the bed, knocking off the side lamp and table, shattering the silence with the tussle. In Elliot's desperate attempt to keep his sister safe, he shouted for her to run and hide as he made every attempt to fight the intruder and save some time for his sister. The intruder was much stronger and taller than he was, and he quickly regained his strength and threw Elliot in the corner. While on the ground, the lurker stood above Elliot with a devious, menacing grin on his face. He then took a hatchet out from his jacket and was heading towards Elliot. In a desperate attempt, he kicked his leg to unbalance the attacker and tried to escape. But as he began to run, the lurker slashed at Elliot, hitting him in his back, and he immediately fell to the floor. Despite the attack, he quickly got up and began to run down the hallway with the lurker close behind, swinging the hatchet violently at him, laughing. At the end of the hallway, Elliot fell due to the attack and began to crawl on the floor as the lurker was just walking slowly and menacing behind him. As the lurker kneeled to make a final attack, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, Kaylee appeared and made a powerful swing with a baseball bat, striking the lurker and knocking him completely off balance and catching him by utter surprise. With this opportunity, Elliot gathered all his strength and tackled the lurker in an intense and aggressive tussle, making full eye contact with each other as hearts raced, as this was the last stand. Elliot suddenly gained the upper hand and forcefully pushed the lurker through a large glass window at the end of the hallway. During the fall, the lurker quickly grabbed onto Elliot during his descent, and they both fell, plummeting to the ground as the shattered glass came falling down with them, breaking the silence of the neighborhood. Kaylee looked in horror and anxiety from the second floor through the broken window. Was her brother dead? Kaylee's eyes started to fill up with tears. But then, Elliot slowly began moving again. A sense of relief came over Kaylee, and she immediately ran downstairs to her brother. Elliot suffered a broken hand and fractured ribs. The lurker was still on the ground, breathing, but unconscious as he made a slight groan, but was unable to move. Immediately after the ordeal, the police arrived, secured the area, and apprehended the lurker as they recognized him. While the police and ambulance were there, Helena arrived home from her shift and was in complete disbelief once she understood what had happened, and hugged and kissed her family. For all the crimes the lurker committed during his reign, he was arrested and eventually sentenced to life without parole. Despite the odds and faced with such a traumatic experience, this is the story about a family that found the strength and determination to survive the intruder.